Normally, I don't react to this kind of stuff. But, you know, when I was browsing Reddit, I saw this. Every single CM group requires 30k UFE. Now, there's a couple of things that you guys either already know or gotta know. I am sitting around 25k UFE myself, or 27 almost. All of this was farmed on stream. So last year I was sat on 0, and then I've consistently been doing the CMs daily. Now, the start of the CMs, as you guys know, like the 0 UFE groups, the runs took pretty long, like it was the better part of a stream. And we ran into the usual issues on bosses like Kanaksai, for example. But I built up, and then I got into the 2k UFE groups, into the 5k UFE groups, to the point where everything became kind of streamlined and we got fast clear. So I've done the 0 to 25k journey in my case. I'm also not at 30k. Now, there's also this thing. If we go to the LFG, I don't actually know if there will be groups up. It makes so much more sense that this group right here, tier 4 dailies plus 95, 96 and 99 CM, will fill faster than if somebody is gonna post a 30k CM group, a UFE group. Why am I saying CM? A 30k UFE group. Like, that's also a given. So if you're like, you know, play off hours, chances are you'll see some of these groups sit around for an hour. You open the LFG and it looks like it's always 30k groups. I don't think that's the case, but you know. So this player, I'm not here to cry or make complaints about Pugs group tagging their expectations on the CMs. I already killed all CM bosses like 10 times each. Each time I have to create my own group. It always ends on the first or the second try because of somebody failing on a mechanic. And it's fine, I'm okay with this. But 90% of the groups I join just won't start and want your 30k UFE before going on the map. Now, here's the thing. We have less of a door mechanic in Guild Wars, so we do create friction between people with high KP requirements and those with lower KPs or lower KP requirements. For me, it's been simple. If I don't have 30k UFE, I don't join those groups. It's as simple as that. They're asking for something, I can't give it. I probably wouldn't even know what I'm missing if I'm joining those groups. For me, doing that 0 to 25k UFE journey has actually been massive in learning to optimize fractals. And a lot of you in chat have taught me how to be better at fractals. Have like told me like, you gotta do this there, try to bring this. Hey, did you know that? And I do think like that journey to 25k was important for that reason. Now, so this player is like, you know, stating their experience, saying that they've played 16 years of WoW, been doing M plus 20 to 25s. If this is current patch, that's quite high. If this like end of BFA, that's actually quite mid. It just feels the same vibe on the LFG. I have to create for some weeks on my own. Guys, open your minds. I saw many groups with 20k UFE failing so much. I gotta say, except Epark, I haven't seen many UFA groups fail so much. And, well, having done all those fractal runs you guys have seen on my stream, I don't think we we really had a toxic group. Which you could say, well, that's maybe, you know, survivorship bias because you got, or confirmation bias because I got into groups and it was always with chill people. Maybe I have a knack for picking groups. But getting 25k UFEs is like the better part of like a year, or at least half a year. So we do have some people talking about UFE, what is it? People who don't know what it is. Now, let's first like address something. Imagine you are a new player and you see this. You go, oh great, yet another game that gatekeeps me. I might not even want in raid strikes, fractals, whatever. Actually, we have a lot of people in our community who we got into endgame content through our weekly convergences, on which I now finally posted the guide and is getting even more reach. We are getting more and more people into those convergences, and then they see we post training runs on our Discord, they join those, and they realize, hey, actually raiding not that bad. Actually, I got most of my legendary armor LI also by pugging. You do find non-UFE groups, but if you see this, and it is then reinforced in the comments, then you might start thinking, damn, I am gatekept from the end game without you even trying if you don't fact check it. So, and we get people's reactions here. That's absolutely disgusting. I only played a few quick play fractals for the legendary gloves and the players were rather toxic. Now, I do think this guy might be onto something, or this person, because I would assume when quick play launched, a lot of people wanted their rewards quick, and a lot of people wanted to try out the game mode, and that's what's creating said friction that I mentioned. We did it differently. Either I joined a quick play group, or if I wanted to blast through, I asked 4 of you to join me, and I went, hey, let's just do quick play together, blast through them, and not wait around too much. Now, when one of you had no experience, I said, you're welcome to join, but we're going to be rushing if that's okay with you. Again, it's about lowering the friction. Now, a lot of people have been saying I have 30k UFE. So this guy is saying I refuse to join the 30k groups because usually they're very toxic. I haven't, again, had that. But at one point, people are going to start explaining in this thread, actually, you know, the UFE that people post is usually more of a measure of what you can expect from a group. I wish I could instantly find a person's comment, but a person... there we go. Here it is. I have 100k UFE. Half of my runs are 10k UFE runs. This is my experience in terms of LFG requirements. 0 to 2, most of the times they clear. Often people are really slacking in DPS, but some of my most fun and most annoying groups are in this bracket. Same for me. Usually clears consistently at 3k, and 5k is usually clear with low DPS. Those are the runs as well where I noticed if an experienced player would join me, would have like a 30% DPS gap, which, you know, pushed me to do better. And then 10k UFE, usually clear in the occasional run where an ADPS or QDPS is beating 2 DPS players. These, by the way, are my favorite runs, the 10 and the 15k UFE runs. I've met a couple of, you know, icons. I've seen somebody do a DPS number when everything lined up on Sunqua Peak that I won't ever see again. I've mentioned this already. I'm a fan of, you know, old Snow Crow's Perry. Happened upon him 2 times in a group. The dude absolutely amazes every time. Now, you also meet people who got their 10k UFE years ago and actually are to par with the strats. Now, 20k UFE, people get annoyed if you don't bring a meta class, and people might reset to get a better log. I gotta say, I've joined quite a bit of 20k UFE groups as soon as I got 20k. I haven't really had to do resets, but my experience is limited. 30 to 40k UFE, you are expected to bring a meta class if you are mediocre at a game. I gotta say, I notice in the 20k UFE bracket, even the 15 people relogging, right? You know, they get the optimal Condi class for 99, 98 CM, then they swap to the optimal power classes for 97, 96, and actually now 95 as well. But I've also seen one-trick ponies. I mentioned this between 3 and 10k UFE. I kept bumping into a player who would only play rifle mech when it was past its peak. And while that player was always like in the average range on DPS, and like let's say if a Soul Beast and a Dragon Hunter would join, they would be lower on the DPS meter. That player, on the other hand, was one of the most dependable when it came to doing mechanics. I kind of appreciate that, and again, I think that's to be expected in these brackets that you don't fully optimize. So I do think this is a better measure of expectation than rather skill, but rather what gets brought in. Now, I gotta scroll a little bit over here. So, this is a bit of a weird comment. Somebody says, yeah, my title says I'm a fractal god. And the OP, who's, mind you, been playing 3 months, and I don't want to call him out, but I'll get to why I'm mentioning this later. I am too, as the title says, but I'm still human. Somebody kind of catches him here. How do you have the title with 3 months of playtime and you only did some CMs 10 quote-unquote times? The math doesn't check out. Fractal champ to god is already 60 days or even more. Now, we could do like a full-on, you know, a full-on schizo profile look through. I don't think they've been doing fractals for 60 days if you look through their threads and comments. Because, well, I think it was like a month or 2 ago, not even, they replied to a post of FOTM, you know, the Fractal Discord community. So, I'm starting to doubt the poster's experience, which, I'll get to is a bit annoying. But then, if we scroll down, and this is gonna get into maybe a bit of schizo territory. So here is a common thread where the OP deleted his own reply. Okay, I can't click too far. So, where somebody says, I haven't played in a few months, but I thought things have changed. Aren't there plenty of lower KP groups like 5k? And if so? And then he goes on, I never understood this problem. Like, yeah, UFE is not the perfect way of assessing somebody's ability, but it increases the probability of finding like-minded players. We are missing the points quite often with KP and calling it gatekeeping. Like, when I see a KP group, I am also thinking they are looking for players that reply to XYZ qualities. So, you know, if I see a 50k KP group, no healer, you know you gotta be a pumper to join, and they are gonna enjoy pumping through the bosses. I won't join those groups either. And if I get to that skill level, I might try it out. But as I said, the 10 to 15k UFEs are my absolute favorite groups, because everybody brings what they like to play. I like to bring what I like to play. And so this person also says, I can't remember any toxic high UFE groups, to be honest. Just plow through the content and say Thai after clearing T4s. That is literally it, by the way. High Q heal, high ADPS. You go, and then you know, for the next hour, nobody says anything. We clear everything, and then you go Thai, and everybody leaves before the confirmation window is even closed. Now, Nolda, or OP, saying, I can't understand that. My point is like 80% of the groups required 30k UFE. So again, I do think this is a gross exaggeration. If we open the LFG, I don't think we'll see 80%. But now you could say, well, hey, this is, you know, maybe just lucky timing. But we have a 20k UFE group, no UFE. But that's only tier 4s, of course. CMs, know the mechanics. CMs, no requirement. CMs, no requirement. This is the dailies and the recs. Let's discount those. Some of the CMs, no requirement. Daily plus T4, ignore. Just 96 King Fall and then 100 CM training. I do want to believe, again, I've said this, if you host a 30k UFE group, you will have that group listed so much longer on the LFG, because there's just less players with 30k UFE, and then not all of those players might want to be playing Fractals with you at that point, or would be like me and rather join a 10k UFE group so you can BYOB. Well, I bring meta builds, but, you know, I've put Cloud through the nightmare of coming on an Alacrity Mechanist because I wanted to try it on Shattered Observatory. It was horrendous for Alacrity uptime, but I had my fun. So, he's gonna get called out. So somebody saying, well, the original like commentary saying like, how do you know that if you even only cleared CMs 10 times? It seems wildly inaccurate. OP kind of replies next to the question, and then he basically makes a very bold claim. 50% of the DPS was under mine, and just doing the same mechanics. If spamming for over 10 years of content is making you a better player, but less numbers and same mechs, meh. So, let's translate this or like, you know, dissect this. He's saying that while he doesn't have 30k UFE, he's been joining 30k UFE runs, and that he's been handsomely beating the DPS. So this person is saying, yeah, I think you're trolling. Point is that experience from 1 to 2 groups aren't enough to generalize, which is true, especially when I have done it hundreds of times with the opposite experience. But now I'm curious, what's your in-game name so I can take a look at Wingman? Conveniently, this is deleted by the user, so I cannot check it. But 2 people in this thread have decided to check out his performance. I'm not trying to be mean here, but you're not in a position to judge a group or individual performance. Only found 5 logs. For example, a 150 Mama and a 9-minute Kanaksai. You were bottom DPS on all encounters. Now, this could be unlucky that it's only his logs. Those logs are his saved logs on Wingman. I also don't upload on Wingman. I know, sue me. I have all of my logs for myself. I don't really upload them, and if I would, I am your bang average player. I've always said it, if I can do it, you can do it with the same amount of commitment that I try to put in. And of course, this player now says, I don't want to compare with people with 10 years of experience. And this triggers me that nobody catches on. Full Ascended. So let's recap here. He's done the CMs multiple times. He's joined 30k UFE groups. There's only 5 logs. Wilster, what you're saying is correct, because every high KP player I join, they auto-upload those logs. So the fact that there's only 5 logs is kind of sus. But him self-reporting, and I don't think anybody catches this on, that he doesn't want to compare with people in full Ascended gear. There is no way that a player with 3 months of experience, A, has the legendary gear, or has enough money to buy plus 20 or plus 30 infusions, which most of us right here in chat cannot pay because he's not running full Ascended. Everybody runs full Ascended with the plus 7, plus 8, plus 9, plus 8, plus 9 thingamabobs, because that's just the most efficient with how Ascended is. So I do think all of what we're reading here, and you can dig, I'll link the Reddit thread later, you can dig into this. This is, I think he had a bad experience, don't get me wrong, and I'm sorry for that. But this is just giga rage bait. Like, he literally self-reports that he doesn't have full Ascended gear. And then when he gets compared to people, he gets called out as well. I think you're right, Sky. He's lying. Toast, okay, I've been forgetting about the option that he might be a whale. Maybe he does have like all plus 24 infusions. This whole thread is confusing to me. I wish we could do a deeper dive. I wish we could do a deeper dive. But the reason why I want to address this, like, this is actually, you know, the meat and bones of why I stumble on this and why I actually want to talk about this. Let's look back to what I said at the start of the video. You're a newcomer to Guild Wars, and we have so many. We got our New World refugees, we clearly have WoW refugees, we've got people coming back because they saw how insanely cool VOE is. Guild Wars is actually popping off on YouTube. I'm really happy with that as well. And I mean then as general, because I've been slacking on my videos. Like, Guild Wars is actually in a pretty good state. And I mean, we have more than 400k accounts on efficiency. Like, Guild Wars is doing good. A lot of people, well, there's going to be a subset of people who just enjoy the game. They don't go on Reddit, they don't go on YouTube, they don't go on forums. But the moment somebody interacts with Reddit and they see this, they might also think, ah, shit. Endgame is not for me, I'm gonna get gate kept. And this actually triggers a second thing. You start to become super self-conscious about your performance for no reason at all. When I joined those no KP required groups, I mean, I think we can make an hour-long meme reel of me failing mechanics when learning everything in CMs. It'd be goddamn funny as well, and maybe I should have done that. It's normal to go through that, but so this can make people self-conscious about their performance and then fully shy away actually from trying to climb in fractals, and maybe that perpetuates to strikes, raids, and whatever. I know Teapot's done a video on this years ago about, like, you know, is it gatekeeping or not? And the problem is, I do think these posts cause a lot of damage. Because now, well, we have that gatekeeping question, but secondly, imagine now. So 4 years ago, I was in a terrible mental state. I just had my burnout, I got diagnosed with a clinical depression, everything was shit in my life. I would easily be swept up by a post like this as well. I would easily be swept up by a post as well. Now, I know the common solution is make your own group. When I was in that mental state, and I don't want to use that as an excuse, it's just how it was. I was already so insecure, I'm not going to make my own group. So I kind of, you know, I'm not coming with a solution, I'm living by the problem at that point. And I do agree, and one person calls this out super correctly in the comments. It is hard to make your own group if you don't have the experience. It is scary. But now, Imagine me 4 years ago. I read this thread and I think, well, fuck gatekeeping. I'm never doing fractals. I will never get ad infinitum. Okay, everybody tells me it's easy to do this, but then I will never be able to get in a group. Why bother? Imagine I live with that thought for the next 6 months, and then somebody goes like, hey, I can't seem to get in fractal groups. And I get a little bit too certain of myself. Too full of myself even, and I go like, yeah, but that's normal. Guild Wars is all gatekeeping. Good luck. You can't get into endgame unless you already made friends with the people who were there 12 years ago. Tough luck. This game is lost on you. Like, I do think that a post like this can like do that type of damage, sadly.